Hello and welcome back. We did a little bit of a poll, and you guys wanted to see the Krakow restart, but also keep kind of the failed little portion. So this is going to be the third episode of the Krakow run, which is going to be us restarting kind of with a little bit of knowledge that we've gained from previous ones. I think we're going to restart pretty aggressively here. From this point on, I think now that we have some identifying characteristics in particular, we're going to be looking at this pretty early on, which is we are going to be looking at Austria's diplomatic situation and trying to find restarts or situations where Russia does not have a positive attitude towards Austria at the game start. I think that in particular will be quite useful, but also Great Britain not liking them. These two things will be pretty strong. France as well. The key one is going to be gaining access through Prussia in terms of the military, and then having two supporters, and then being able to pop a war. Also, another thing that we gleaned is the importance of the journal entry for, not this one, but Christ of Nations, which activates if we research nationalism, because it seems that the only way for us to really get enough liberty desire to actually, you know what, the values have changed, it looks like, a little bit, but a big part of us getting good enough, getting a high enough liberty desire to ask for independence is going to be that we have negative relations with them, and this seems to be, as long as Austria keeps giving us improving relations or doing various other positive things, this nationalism journal entry, Christ of Nations, will give us an event that allows us to decrease by 30 our relations. And so even though I think that it's so important for railways to get researched like ASAP, because we have basically no infrastructure, if we can get independence really early, then we can also have more infrastructure, because we could take parts of a state, and so it'll become less critical. And so we're actually going to go nationalism very first. To that end, on the research, what we have also done in terms of a reroll is we have rerolled until we get atmospheric engine natural spreading. That way it will take us less time to get railways. In theory, you would want to reroll, I suppose, until nationalism is also nat spreading, if anyone starts with it. I can't think of anyone who starts with nationalism, actually, so it actually can't nat spread. So just re-rolling until something like atmospheric engine is spreading. For the atmospheric engine pump event, what we have done in terms of construction is we've decided that we're going to go 3 iron mines really early, just to try and proc the event, and try and get it for, for railways specifically. I suppose that means we won't want to finish our 3rd iron mine until we're ready to go, or until we have mechanical tools, but that way we get progress on railways. For whatever reason, it didn't pop last time, but these are some of the adjustments we are making. If Austria forms a defensive pact with Russia, I think we'll just restart, but this is, other than that, we're kind of doing the normal things. We're also passing interventionism very first to keep the Austrians' grubby fingers off of our buildings, because no buildings will be sold unless we consent to it. They will only get the buildings they intentionally build in our nation. So this will help us to keep this down. But other than these things, we're kind of doing what we did before, in that we are going to, run a whole bunch of decrees, and otherwise float authority to be able to pass laws. I think our law passing strategy is actually going to be a little bit different, in that I think that what we're going to try and do, because the modifiers for, asking people to support our independence, because of one of the modifiers is how similar our laws are, we might actually just try and, ideological similarities of our government, we might just try and have our laws be as close as possible to some of the people we're trying to get to support us, at least on the temporary basis, especially given how at the end of last episode, Austria being an ideological union, they just reset all of our laws anyways, and so it's because they can reset our progress as long as we're not independent. I think making the strategy around having a particular group join us will maybe be a little bit better. So these are kind of all the adjustments we're making from the last start and last episode, and so let's get into it and see how things crumble out a little bit. So it's a little bit rare to see this, but Great Britain has early ended their rivalry with France. There's still a one-way rivalry, but they've picked up one with Russia, which is going to probably be not ideal for us, because we would like to have a situation where we could either get Great Britain or Russia to help us out and not have the other one join Austria. And them rivaling each other is going to encourage this. Of course, this is, the great game. I don't think that we're going to re-roll it for a condition where they're ever not doing this, but now they have a journal entry for it. We see that it looks like they are cooperative now with Russia, which is a little bit bad for us. And if Austria isn't having another natural enemy, I suppose Great Britain and Prussia could probably beat Russia and Austria. Maybe. That's a little bit of a close one. Well, this is exciting. France is funding lobbies in our nation, and we're improving relations with them, or we just started, and this will be really good if either of us manage to get lobbies in each other's nations. Also, we're doing something we don't normally do. We're passing monarchy in order to try and help the ideological support that we might be able to get from France, which has a monarchy, at least right now. Great Britain, monarchy. Russia, also monarchy. So moving in that direction, I think we'll probably move towards wealth voting, because these two both have wealth voting. And so, we already have wealth voting. Well, we'll really be in wealth voting, but it's like industrialization and the normal liberalization process, but in reverse here, at least on a temporary basis. When you're really small and lean, you can change laws quite quickly. We also decided to juggle some of our PMs here, where we purposefully did not complete our tooling workshop, and then put the iron mine in front of it, just so that there would be fewer buildings to be able to be sniped by the Austrians until we got onto interventionism, which we're on, so they cannot buy any of our buildings. And also the government dividends, well, this is a poor example because we don't have a positive balance, but the government dividends, we'll see that some of this will go to reinvestment, and then the government dividends will be effectively doubled relative to laissez-faire, and we were finding that almost all of our buildings were government owned on the last run, and so we will get more of a free money modifier from this, but we will, so we have to think of our infrastructure whenever we're building this, and we are actually at capacity. So I think we're going to build another iron mine, but we're just going to juggle it down repeatedly, which is to say that right when it's about to finish, we'll put something else in front of it, and we will do this until we get railroads, or until we get the ability to pop the atmospheric engine event while having mechanical tools, at which point we'll get extra progress towards railways. So it's going to be a little bit of micro in the building queue yet again. Alright, so Austria did not improve relations or do anything positive with us this entire time. We waited until we had very nearly -50 relations, and then we popped our request for our own market, which they said no, which gave us negative relations, which brought us to this cold point rather than just having poor relations. So now our liberty desire is growing. The values from this do seem to have been changed from our last start, making it quite a bit easier to try and get independence, and so we're kind of well on our way to be able to request independence, and so this will help us out, we think, and we will just kind of keep an eye on in terms of the diplomatic actions. This is what we're spending a lot of time kind of watching this and taking care. We're trying to pay attention to who is close. The main indicator of what's going to give this -1000 relation is what people's relations with Austria are, and so we're hoping that more people have negative sorts of events and this type of thing with Austria. Currently it's just Prussia, and we would really like to get a little bit of more help, but the fact that France is funding our lobbies, hopefully, if we get a lobby with them, I think that makes it easier for us to even get, if we get a pro-France lobby, my understanding is that makes it easier for us to do things to make it so that they would be more willing to help us out. Like the lobby can request that we get request independence from France, and that would give extra acceptance on that relation. And okay, it's not going to overcome the -1000, but it will be useful. Also, Austria is going to help us with this rev, so we're completely unconcerned about it. I think because things are actually going well on the liberty desire front, that we don't necessarily need to push nationalism, so we're actually going to go from mechanical tools into railways with the idea of going nationalism after. and if we find ourselves starting to decay in liberty desire, then we'll switch back and research nationalism instead. We have an election before we pass monarchy, and the Industrialist actually gets elected, which is going to be pretty good for us. And so because I think the big part of this is otherwise the Intelligentsia would have had a ton of clout, but they got clapped by the Rev, and so we will be locking in a monarch that is an industrialist, which is generally more useful than other monarchs, so maybe we even stick it out for a while in order to get a little bit more authority as well. Alright, so we finished mech tools, which means once you have mech tools and Atmo engine, you can proc the Atmo engine event in order to gain more progress, and we're hoping that it doesn't weird out this time. We have the atmospheric engine pump event, and we are about to get the iron mines up to level 3 because we had one almost completed, and so we'll get it up to level 3, and now it has to fully employ up and be profitable, which it is. If it wasn't, we would try and force export this, so I think we're going to pop the event in just a second here. We're going to juggle this down because we want to juggle it down, and because we don't want to finish any other buildings after this, and then once this gets up to 75%, I think that the event is supposed to pop. Right? Right? Where did it go? Where did it go? So we have for the second time, atmospheric engine. We get what we need in order to pop the event, and then it just disappears? Okay. So we get Turkey forming, which is kind of a little bit rare. I think that we need to improve relations with them. They, in particular, do have an antagonistic sort of relationship with Austria, and so this is going to be very nice for us if we can get them on our side. Alright, so we get our first support of independence here from Turkey. We started improving relations with them. We're going to get ticking positive relations with them off this, so we're going to stop improving relations. We're going to come back. I think that every time we send out a diplomat, it might also re-roll or have a chance to re-roll their attitude, which is one of the primary things for us. So maybe the strategy is actually to stop improving relations, wait a tick, improve relations in order to try and force attitudes to be better towards you. I hope that this isn't the way the game works, because that'd be really tedious, but I'm not sure if improving relations is a diplomatic catalyst, and diplomatic catalysts change whether or not attitudes are a thing, or they also change. This is a new mechanic in 1.7. They also introduce the creation of lobbies, and so if doing this can influence lobbies, that's significant. We also are at the point where we can ask for independence. I don't think we're going to do it just yet. I think, or ask for, increase in autonomy. They, of course, would not be willing to accept. They're not even remotely close to accepting, but this allows us to go for independence. And I think that even if we go for independence, I think what we actually want to enforce is just an increase in autonomy and actually play as a dominion or protectorate of Austria and use Austria to beat up Prussia and find our way to the coast. I think that this will probably be the strongest strategy rather than going for direct independence. Alright, so we finish up rail transport here, just kind of keeping an eye on the diplomacy. It does seem like they just adjusted the values between the patch that I was on when we first tried to do this, where it seemed impossible to get enough liberty to desire despite having negative relations. Now it seems very, very doable. We're just kind of sitting tight here, looking to get people willing to join us. That part seems a little bit harder. As far as the diplomacy goes, Austria, despite Prussia really hating Austria's guts, they're really not too interested, or yeah, they're just not very interested in helping us out, but did want to show kind of all the accumulated construction that we have here that we have been juggling down so that we don't go over the infrastructure. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a railway just at the front of the queue, and the railway will finish, and then everything else will finish in a matter of like 1 to 2 weeks, and so in this way we got to benefit from our 10 construction while simultaneously not causing massive market problems for ourselves here and just tanking the profitability of everything. To be fair, we could have tried to construct just our own internal market, but there's too much stuff that we're reliant on them for, like for fabric and silk and dyes and all this types of stuff, that I think that it's better to do it like this. But this is whenever you're playing with a really small start, like the American territories or this type of thing, the juggling down mechanic is an important one. Yeah, we don't like this. This might be a re for us. Prussians have managed to get nationalism, and so they immediately dow Austria in a situation that, as far as I can tell, Prussia basically never wins this, and very often we do see them put in a bunch of war goals that kick them up over infamy level, like something like Notorious, where a bunch of people will subsequently join against them. Also, we're about to have to force fight both Prussia and Austria, which is going to set our relations or our attitude back with them. And so this might be a restart. You know, just not being able to. We got the Liberty Desire high enough, but we weren't able to get a good enough setup on people willing to support our independence, I think, to be able to get anything done. No one else supports it. Turkey supported. There's no way we win with just Turkey. And so we would, at the very least, need some baloney. But, you know, yeah, and they're going to lose Silesia. Liberate Danzig is like a weird one. We've seen this one. We saw this one last run, but as soon as the war pops, this looks like a little problematic here. I mean, we can't capitulate out. Maybe there's a chance. I mean, we could see what France thinks here, but they're pretty not into it. Russia, actually, the fact that Russia is somewhat close to wanting it is maybe good, and maybe Austria demanded a little too much. The fact that they're infamous now maybe helps us out in the long term, but we need, if we can't get Prussia's help, we need someone to actually be able to assist us with the front. And the fact that they're taking Silesia, and they're almost certainly going to win, someone being, the Austria is almost certainly going to win. If they take Silesia, other than the Weewoos outside, this will mean that we absolutely need Russia's help more than anyone else, because there has to be a front between us and Austria, otherwise we'll just get capped out, like, instantly. Okay, well, these actual uber-cursed borders maybe give us a bit of an opportunity in that Prussia took West Galicia from... I just don't know exactly how this the radicals work. I think that we have to be independent in order to incorporate them. But if there was a separate state here, there's a scenario where that's going to be easier for us to do stuff, and since they're isolated from Prussia's market, they're probably going to rev at some point. We're not going to use our cooldown for here. We're just going to make sure that we have enough to ask for independence. But this maybe gives us an opportunity of sorts sometime down the line, but the taking of Silesia means that Prussia is no longer kind of eligible to help us. So on the other hand, this might actually just be horribly bad for us. We take a look and see if anyone supports independence. Still no one really supports our independence, which is super unfortunate. So if we just take a look, I mean, it's not as bad as having a defensive pact with Russia, Austria having this, but the fact that we couldn't get Prussia at any point on board us, maybe we just absolutely needed to try and push to plus 50 relations with Prussia, which we didn't earlier on. We have bad relations with them now because we were at war with them, and now they're damaging relations with us, so that's not ideal. I think we might just restart from here, to be honest. This feels like a situation where, like, it's either Russia or bust, and there's nothing that seems to indicate. Russia's just been cautious this whole time. I mean, maybe we bink the plus 50 relations. We're, like, pretty close to them right there. But I think that even if we change the relation level with them, I still don't think it's going to be very likely that they help us out here versus Austria. And so with the Prussia just kind of again looking really weak, and us needing... Ooh, okay. I hear you. You're genial. So how close are we to this? Yeah, the problem is that their attitude towards Austria is not negative enough. So I kind of hate this event, because it's just absolutely backbreaking when you're small. But minus 2,500 government expenses. There's actually, I don't think, a way for us to possibly avoid going into default here. If we stopped revving, we could delete our university, but the university is not costing us this much, so we are going to default, like 100%, and Russia's not supporting us anyways. Prussia's not supporting us. We're gonna restart. Alright, so this is going to make a fairly big difference. The Ideological Union power block statue, which we were not aware of that it would be giving this, gives minus 25% decree cost. We're currently using a lot of decrees. You know, that's where a whole big chunk of our authority is going, so we'll be doing that. Still opened up with interventionism into trying to pass monarchy. This time, in terms of improving relations, we're going to improve all the way with Prussia, all the way to 50, and then we're going to do the same with Great Britain, hoping to gain them their support in this upcoming war against Austria. We asked Austria for our own separate market just as soon as we were starting to approach 20. They've been improving relations, we've been damaging relations, and we currently have this sort of moderate-ish situation where we're still damaging relations with them. I think they're improving relations, so the relations will slowly tick up, but we're kind of locked in this space here, and so I think that what we will do is maybe after mech tools, we have to go nationalism, which is a little bit divergent. As long as they continue to improve relations with us, we actually can't guarantee this negative relation status. So we, I think, have to move things in the direction like that. Oh, I forgot power block statues basically cost like infinite construction. They're the equivalent of, you know, yeah, they are a whole lot of construction. So I don't know if it's actually worth it for us at this point in time. I think we want to still juggle down construction, but we do want to juggle. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to keep stuff from finishing, because I think we are kind of at the end of our limit. Yeah, we're using 13 out of 11 infrastructure, and then with this we should get +1 infrastructure for 13 out of 13, but we're going to juggle from here. We're not going to try and do the Atmo engine event because it just seems to be bugged, so instead we're going to lean a little bit more into tools, where the third level, once we get an available company, we'll be able to slot the tooling company in. Alright, so with going to the full +50, they are willing to support our independence, which will give ticking positive relations, I think above 50 anyways. We're going to start improving relations with the Ottomans, because I think they are going to be the most likely ally. We'll check the diplomacy situation here with them, and the thing is we have to be looking for weird defensive pacts that are not normal. They start off with these defensive pacts. They have an alliance with 2 Sicilies, not too big a deal, but we don't see anything positive with Russia other than like a positive attitude, which is exactly what we need in order to make this run work. So hopefully, if we get up to 50 on Great Britain, maybe we can make something happen, but I think that that's not going to work because they're going to have -1k, because unless their attitude towards Austria gets worse, it's a little bit tempting to grant them investment rights, to be honest, because then we would be dependent on the British, but we would still be able to get a lot more money into our economy. But I think that, and plus we would also get ticking positive relations. It's just, this is a hyper-committal move, and I have no reference experience of whether or not this is smart or not. I think that in general you want to do this when you have a lot of pops, and we are in the reverse situation, so investment's probably not very good for us. So we just hit -50 relations with Austria. One of the unfortunate things, though, is that, so we are good. Oh, it just like immediately ticks down. Yeah, so every single tick, it's going to tick down, or it's going to tick up, rather, to being 49, or off of being the exact 50 because the puppet relation. And there's no way for us to just keep our damage relation in so that we can get to an inferior relation spot, which is a mechanic that we wish we could do. Like, when you bankroll, even once you get an obligation, you continue to bankroll. We would want to continue to damage relations so that we could increase our liberty desire. But right now, it is increasing a little bit. If we ask them to support our regime, they'll say no, so we could get some negative relations in that way and allow them to keep ticking down. And so this will help us out a little bit more, because I think we get upgraded from cold relations. Oh, we go from poor relations to cold relations, and so now our liberty desire is continuing to move up. Prussia is supporting us. I think we already mentioned this, but after getting to +50, also we have a we got a catalyst for, we had a political lobby. I guess the lobby went away. That's unfortunate, but we are also improving relations with Great Britain, we improved relations with Great Britain all the way to +50. They were not willing to join. We're now working on France and the Ottoman Empire, and then next we'll do Russia. We need at least one of these other guys in addition to Prussia, because Prussia just can't win these fights on their own, I don't think. I suppose we could try for it, though. Okay, so we stopped improving relations with France because we saw that Russia and Austria are rivaling each other, which is going to be fantastic. This means that if we start a play, we could probably sway them in. And we're just waiting for this to get spawned because we do have nationalism now. And so I think once this gets spawned, even with us not having the guarantee support independence from Russia, I think we still... they would do it if we had good relations. I think we still might be able to start this play and get it going just because Austria, on this particular role, has 3 mutual rivals, and this is really significant and will help us a lot if we can do it. We're hoping that we can reduce autonomy rather than just gain independence. We want to be specifically a dominion/protectorate rather than get independence. Okay, so we actually made a little bit of a mistake here in that we can't do Christ of Nations unless we get protected speech, rights of assembly, skill issue. We didn't read the full thing. I thought we just needed nationalism. And so our research strategy was a little bit bad. The railways are a little bit rough. Also, we're trying to play quick because we're trying to get things done, and we've gone over the infrastructure accidentally, which is definitely no good. But it's fortunate that it does seem to be a lot easier to gain Liberty Desire, at least on this iteration, which is probably going to be the ones you guys get live, rather than this one where it's like, man, you just get cooked. So we're just going to request market control. This is going to give us negative relations here again. And then from here, we can ask for increased autonomy for a ton of negative relations. We need to get above 90 to be able to ask for independence. I think we'll just ask now here, and then they refuse. Oh, dude, bro, come on. Timing here is so bad for us. Disgustingly bad. We were about to try and declare. Shoot. All right, well, I guess however this crumbles out is going to really significantly affect things. We see that Austria just wants German... Friggin' Prussia just shits the bed. Like, they shouldn't be decking here. It's frustrating. I don't think we can declare on Austria now because we're at the same side of a play as them, so it's a little bit of an annoying thing. But we can expel their diplomats? What? Why can we expel their diplomats? Is this, Huh. Okay. But we can't do any sort of diplomatic demands against them that we'd normally be able to do because now we're on the same side of a play as them, and then we won't be able to sway Prussia for the next 5 years here. So really unfortunate on the timing. And then Prussia maybe wins this, though. I don't think they do, but they could, because nobody joined against Prussia, which is kind of the norm. So we'll see how that shakes out. Alright, well, Austria is just getting crushed, which I suppose works for us. It looks like they're going to be capitulating here soon. But I do think this makes it so that we can't deck for independence, because I think independence is an offensive war goal, and Prussia cannot join offensive war goals against Austria as long as they have a truce. And so this is a bit unfortunate. It looks like they do get capitulated out, and it looks like that's an interesting one. This is actually a very interesting bit of luck for us, because I do think that they just can't enforce on us. I didn't even read the war goals enough to like realize this, but I think we just get independence here, like completely for free. What an insane thing. Yeah, I mean, we just we could just go independent here because Austria can't invade us. I mean, this is not in the spirit of the run, though, because there's no way this is replicable. Having Prussia just like exactly demand this, I don't know how I feel about even continuing from here. Like, nobody watching this can repeat this like in any sort of consistent way, that Prussia just very conveniently nabs exactly Moravia and West Galicia, making independence trivial. I mean, okay, I guess. So quite a bit of strangeness here. We declared on Austria for independence because they can't touch us, so we might as well. And we get a little bit of a very, very weird thing going on here where we have annexed how should I say this? Austria somehow can get to the front in order to help us fight the revolution, and that's what they're doing, but they're not pushing, they're not attacking us, we're about to enforce on them, and we have this guy fully mobilized, but we can't assign him to the front to push, so now somehow we're relying, I guess it's because we're too small, we're relying on Austria to win our war for us, because even though we would win the war for ourselves, we can't, and now they're not pushing, so this run might also be bricked. I do think that we've identified the correct way forward in that if we get Prussia plus Ottomans and Russia is not friendly towards Austria, I think this is the conditions where you can really, really consistently set something up for this. But I guess we'll see how this shakes out. Us not being able to assign to a front's like a very weird problem here. But okay. Okay, now that we have peace with Austria, we can assign to the front, which I guess this makes some sense. We can't jointly push a front with someone we're currently at war with. That also kind of makes some sense. We also do finish the railway tech, so we will put one of those at the front of the queue. We're going to really need it because we're super out of infrastructure. We have a ton of devastation. Not like this. I think we're going to slap down a violent suppression decree. To be fair, we've been trying to play fast, and as a result, we've been juggling rather poorly, and we are using way more infrastructure once we reincorporate the rev than we ought to be. I think we're going to go for not water tube boiler, because I think we're going to try and specialize specifically more in manufactured goods. So I think we're going to go for mech workshops a little bit early here, and now we have, that's a little bit of a visual, huh? Now we have a bit of an interesting situation where I think that we want to improve relations with Austria, try and get back on their good side, and we need to try and think about, so we can do this event here, because we're independent now, and we want to think about who it is we want to go after, and I think that if we, well, maybe we're supposed to go after Prussia, just like about face, and try and fight Prussia. The problem is we absolutely 100% need Russia's help to fight Prussia. We need one of these guys' help to fight the other guy, and there's no third party because Austria doesn't have a front shared with us. We'd really like West Galicia, but... So we are kind of at an interesting point, and I think that this run also might be a little bit scuffed, even though we got independence. The reason being is the way forward is going to be decking on Prussia, right? I think, and one of the problems we have is we would actually kind of like to still be in Austria's market. We want to be a protectorate, one of the, like, because now we're not going to have any population growth, basically, which is a significant problem in the long term. And it would have been much better for us to be a dominion and then be able to fight Prussia for this stuff, but we didn't want to be a dominion with an isolated market, but maybe that would have been an okay situation. But now we, like, kind of are in a rough spot where we are going to be pretty reliant on kind of the luck on whether or not France/Austria are willing to support us in a war. And one of the problems here is that if we look at the strategic regions, we look at the Polish strategic region where we can declare wars, France doesn't have an interest there. So France not having an interest there is pretty bad for us, because otherwise we'd be able to go for Silesia and then agitate in West Galicia, Moravia, I think, you know, for Polish liberation, and now I think that that's a little bit less of an option. So this might be scuffed as well. We'll probably try and see if we can play a little bit more of this, but I'm not sure if this works either, what we've done here. So we actually have a situation where we're defaulting largely because of infrastructure problems. We should have juggled a whole lot better. The big problem was that we were over on the infrastructure. We started to run into turmoil problems, all kinds of problems, and we can't get any more pops here anymore, which we could if we were an Austrian subject. So I think we have a save a little bit before the war between Austria and Prussia started. So I think we might go back to that, because I think that the condition where Russia is against Austria, I think, is what you're looking for. And I think if you have that pretty consistently and you improve relations, you know, with at least two powers, that it should be winnable to fight the Austrian and Prussia war. But it might just be winnable with Prussia, because we just saw Prussia solo bolo Austria. So I think next episode we're going to try again from kind of that checkpoint save, I suppose, where we'll see if we can do something a little bit differently and get something not like horrific like this. Which, as amusing as this was, it doesn't. This actually is like bad for us, I think. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and have a good one.